Hi, how you doing? I'm Seth.
I'm Will.
We're here today to talk about Definitive Technology and specifically their BP or Bipolar series.
Yeah, the BP
line of speakers.
The BP9020.
Yep. So a little casual today. Just got back from the dermatologist. I got like 40 spots burned off my face. Yeah, my face basically feels like they just took my head and just dipped it in liquid nitrogen. Because normally I get 5 or 6 spots burned, but it's COVID and I haven't been there in 2 years. So 40 spots. So kids, wear a hat, cover up, parents, sunscreen. Yeah,
so your Abercrombie and Fitch modeling career is going to be put on hold? Okay.
Yep. it's done.
Yeah, I like that. The friends and family discount was good.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be bacon faced tomorrow. But anyways, enough of that. Let's talk about some bipolar technology, and we'll talk about Definitive Technology.
Let's do it.
DefTech, excuse me. About 25 years ago, I worked for a company called Dow, which were then bought by Tweeter.
Their slogan, D-O-W, DAT.
They were, yep. They were iconic for that in the San Diego market.
Yeah,
yep.
I was probably at Circuit City at that time.
Yeah.
Late 90s, early 2000s.
Yep, you were the enemy.
I was the enemy. I was a competition.
There you were.
Started out in cell phone sales.
But we brought on DefTech, and I just remember at the time going like, wow, these things sound amazing. They're very unique. There's a really wide sound.
Yeah.
There was a track I used to use a lot that had lots of hoo, ha kind of things going on. Now, it didn't just go hoo, ha for 5 minutes, but there are other elements to the song as well. But they just sounded very breathy and open and natural. I'm like, oh, these are really cool. And so when we started Air Theater Design 16 years ago, we had looked at bringing them on, and that was a point where speaker and audio manufacturers didn't want to take anybody on because they said, you need to give us $50,000, you need to do this and that. Yeah. Then the recession hit, and everybody said, hey, do you have a pulse? Please sell our stuff, and we brought them on. And so we've had very good luck with the line.
Yeah.
But so a couple of things with their bipolar technology is they got drivers shoot this way, they got drivers that shoot this way. So we'll talk about some of the tech here with Definitive Technology. So these guys use a 1-inch aluminum tweeter.
Yep.
One thing we like about the aluminum tweeter is aluminum, very fast, very responsive. But with these things, it sounds smooth as well. It's not harsh. It's not raspy. So you got your 1-inch tweeter here. These guys, you have a 3.5-inch mid-range driver. They do a thing called BDSS. Basically, it's a driver that has a little bit more excursion, and the advertised feature of that is that it blends better with their built-in subwoofer, which we'll talk about in a second.
What does that stand for? Balanced double surround sound.
Is that it? Yeah, it's in my notes here, but I'll take your word for it. So,
balanced double surround system.
Surround system, yep. Improves driver excursion, yep. These guys have a 3.5-inch driver on the back. And the idea is that by sending sound waves in both directions, your highs and mids bounce off the back wall, and it just gives you a whole wall of sound, which it does. And we'll talk about that when we get to our listening demo stuff and what we heard. When you go up in their line, these are the entry level in their bipolar series. Cabinets get larger and larger. Drivers get larger, so instead of a 3.5, you get a 4.5. Instead of having, these guys have 2 3.5s and a tweeter. You then get a tweeter on the back. You go up a little bit more. You get 2 drivers in the back, and it goes to a Diapolito array, high-end audio concept, driver, tweeter, driver. These guys have an 8-inch built-in subwoofer, and they have a vent port on the back. 150-watt amp built into these to push that bass.
Yep.
When you go higher in their line, that's where you get to a 10-inch driver instead of an 8. You get to a 300-watt, and everything kind of just goes up, and they just become bigger and better.
Yeah, if you move up, their flagship has the toppers built in. These are optional. They have the module where you can just plug in a little harness, pop these off. And one thing, buyer beware with the rear, be aware of what's behind, what's on your wall, what material, whether it's drywall or you have a special stone. Be aware of that because you might get a different type of sound that you might not be looking for.
True. That is one thing also with these guys. Well, a couple things is you got your sock technology. So you got the sock that kind of covers this thing. Make sure when you're carrying them around that your finger doesn't poke in and blow out that tweeter.
Yeah, you kind of have to grab from like the edge and then grab the side foot. That was the only safe way without accidentally poking out anything.
On the side foot with the aircraft grade aluminum?
Oh yeah, the alien-like aircraft aluminum.
Now, it advertises aircraft grade aluminum. We don't know if that's actually good or bad. I know nothing about aluminum grades. That could be the worst aluminum you can buy, but it sounds great.
It sounds pretty badass. Yeah.
It does. So I'm going to assume it's good.
Yeah.
92 dB sensitive, so very sensitive, which is good. You can push them with a $400, $500 receiver, and you're going to get great results.
Yep.
They don't list the crossovers, which I'm not sure why, but they don't. And these weigh about 30 pounds. And you go up the line, of course, they get bigger and bigger. And you can use these with their center channel line, their CS9040, their CS9060. They've got their surround speakers, SR for surround. Then we'll talk about that stuff. But
well, we didn't try to do it on purpose, but we've been reviewing speakers that are sensitive. They're not picky with whatever receiver or amplifier you're going to hook them up to. So I guess
that's true.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Should we talk about what we heard?
Yeah, let's do it.
So our favorite movie track, at least now, because tastes change.
Yeah.
But Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
Turn of the King.
Battle of Pelennor Field. So this is one of our favorite scenes where you got 50-foot elephants stomping on 3-foot hobbits, and you've got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, the stomping is great, but you've also got arrows going overhead, so you really get that sensation of things going back and forth. You get crazy bass from 50-foot elephants that probably weigh, 750 tons or so.
Yeah,
if there was a 50-foot elephant to weigh.
It's a pretty immersive scene. You're getting dynamics of most all the frequencies that you're going to hear out of a movie for sure.
Yeah, and so we like to use that as a demo track, and we actually did this listening test about a year ago, because we did this review about a year ago, and our audio got butchered, so we're doing it again. So anyways, this goes back to about a year ago. We had the CS9040 Definitive Technology center channel. We had the DefTech surrounds in back, where they've got 1-inch tweeter, 3.5-inch driver. You pop these things in the wall, you get bipolar sound this way and that way. And for movies, we were really impressed. You just get a really wide sound out of these things. And that's part of that bipolar technology. They actually make speakers that aren't bipolar. They have their new, what's called their Demand series, that we'll go into in a different review when we get a chance to listen to those things.
You just give them a pill and they're not bipolar.
There you go. Hey-oh! I like it. So you brought up earlier about that first scene in that track, the dude with the horn. Yep. And you just have a whole wall of sound. It really puts you in. It's like, it doesn't sound like it's coming from this speaker. It sounds like, man, this is just a gigantic wall of sound.
Yeah, I like it.
Movies, I think they do a great job, and I think if you are looking for a great home theater experience, I think they're a really good speaker to audition.
Oh yeah, with the built-in subwoofer tube, you don't need an external sub, which for my taste, it was plenty of bass. But you can also hook up an external sub if you want to. They say not to mess with the LFE setup the way they're dialed in. You can, but they say there's no, the DevTech engineers recommend not to mess with any of the bass settings. Just turn the volume up on the back, the dial on the back, and take it from there.
Yeah, they said they have an the crossover is already built into it, so they say, I don't need to mess with that, just do the volume. I think it's to kind of keep it simple.
Yeah.
That's a good point you bring up about the whole subwoofer thing. If you go on a lot of forums, you'll see people kind of poo-poo these speakers. I don't know if people use that term anymore. It's probably since like 1954 since somebody's actually used that, but I am the first human since 1954 to use the phrase poo-poo something.
It's a catchphrase.
But anyways, the speakers are kind of poo-pooed by guys going, oh, these aren't real subwoofers. You need big, real subwoofers on either side. Yeah. Remember that one picture I was talking about? There's a dude on one of these forums, will remain nameless, where he's got a 65-inch TV. He's got 2 subwoofers on either side. The subwoofers are literally like the size of a washing machine. It looks absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, the room's pretty crowded. I don't know.
Well, and it's also the 10 by 11, like, it's like the computer gamer room. Like, there's the Mountain Dew, there's the cables hanging down the wall. Like, the room is atrocious, but he's got subwoofers the size of a washing machine.
Yeah, I think his wife or girlfriend might ground him, and then he just goes down to his man cave. And...
I don't think that dude has a girlfriend or a wife, but anyways, you get the point. But there's nothing wrong with having subwoofers the size of a washing machine, in my opinion. It's kind of like, it's a little overkill.
A little bit.
Let's say if I showed up to work today in a monster truck. I mean, the guys would probably think it's pretty cool. It was really cool in Roadhouse when he rolled up with the monster truck.
Yeah, and plus they were racketeering money from the Ford dealership guy, so they drove the monster truck through the Ford dealership, so that one served a purpose, kind of.
It did serve a purpose. It served more purpose than me just driving to work. So the guys might think my monster truck is cool, but they'd probably be like, Okay, do you really need 86-inch tires to drive to work? It's kind of the same thing with your washer-sized subwoofers. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's going to give you a better experience, but like to your point, if you don't have room for subwoofers, you don't want to spend money on however much washer-sized subwoofers cost.
Yeah.
These do give you good bass standalone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. So then we listen to music. Mark is somewhere over here. Mark brought up some really good demo material that we kind of changed up in our last review.
Yeah, this is all from his personal playlist that he has on his iPod.
Yep. He had, so To Zion by Lauryn Hill, which has got some great bass, got some good guitar. She's a great vocalist as well.
And she's a great lyricist too. When she came up with the Fugees, like that Fugees album is like one of my top 5.
Yeah, that is
maybe top 10, but it's definitely up there. Good album.
Yeah, it was a popular one during '96. You heard it all the time.
Fuji la la.
There it is. Fly Me to the Moon by Frank Sinatra was one of
Old Blue Eyes.
Yeah, and that particular track, everybody's heard it, or maybe they haven't listened down or sat down to listen to it, but it's something all of us have heard. But in that track, there's all sorts of specific stuff that's going on that I never noticed before. I sat down and listened. I'm like, oh, this is a really good demo track.
His band / quartet that he's got going, the instruments, it's a nice track.
Yep, and mixed very well. So you have very distinct areas where the vocals come from, where music comes from.
And we did listen to the remastered version too. So.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Yep. We had Homeless by Paul Simon.
Paul Simon.
Yeah, he's got the good stuff going on with his quartet of crazy animals, it sounds like.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he filmed it or he recorded it over at the San Diego Zoo or the Wild Animal Park.
If you haven't heard his stuff, it's got, whoo whoo, and frog sounds and, crickets.
Yeah, bamboo sticks clicking.
Yeah, there's all sorts of insane stuff going on. And then we also have Keith Don't Go by Nils Lofgren, or as we like to say it, Nils Lofgren.
Yeah, I guess he's got a good cult following. I'd never heard of him before.
I didn't either.
But I kind of felt bad. I'm like, oh, how did I not know that? Because I like me some good classic rock, and Nils is up there with some of the greatest. So sorry, Nils.
Yeah, and good guitar stuff. So kind of a universal that we noticed with the music was that good definition, but because of the design of your speaker firing both directions, it wouldn't give you the same type of pinpoint image and placement of the instruments like we heard when we listened to our KEF in the review we did a little bit ago, or our Martin Logan, the Motion 60s. So you do get a big wall of sound, but it's not going to be as pinpoint, and I think it depends on the person listening to it. It's, if I was to give some of these speakers to one of my buddies who, didn't have a setup before, I'm sure he'd be stoked on, wow, these things sound great.
100%.
But you didn't have those same elements of audio that you had with some of the other ones. So that was kind of a downside.
Yeah, because with the Q950s and the Martin Logan 60 XTIs, if you close your eyes, you forget speakers are there. With these, they sounded like they were coming from the speaker. I don't know the exact
boxy.
term.
Yeah,
The boxy.
Little
term.
boxy. So that was a downside. And again, without getting into specifics of each track, what we heard, that was something that we just heard across all of them, and it's just a bipolar speaker versus your standard front firing or point source speaker.
Yeah, on their specs page, their claim to fame is they're not just good for home cinema. So that leads me to believe they're saying they're great for music. Are they great for music? Not for my taste. They're good. They weren't bad, but
yeah, and I like them, but I think for the dollars, I could probably go another way.
Yeah.
So there was a downside to these things. So we previously had the old 8060s, which were their old 80 series speakers, and they came out the 90 series, which are the new ones. So we said, all right, let's get rid of our 8060s. We have our clients, Craig and Tina, picked those up. They're loving them. Yeah, we got these guys, and right when we hooked them up, we heard a gigantic bump. Yeah. We're like, what the heck is this? And it basically sounded like, if you're familiar with when you pop a subwoofer, you'll get this big bump where the amp is bumping the speaker. We're like, this isn't good. So we tested them again, bump. We're like, okay, this is ridiculous. So we called up DefTech. Hey, DefTech, what's going on with this bump? Oh, it's normal. Like, this isn't normal. So we sent them emails. We sent them video for, I don't know, like 2 months. They kept saying it was normal. We didn't sell a pair of these speakers. We were not going to sell that to any of our clients because just no one would want that gigantic bump every time you turn on your system.
Yeah, so they're essentially a big paperweight.
We had 2 big paperweights in here. Yep. So I don't know, that went on, then the COVID kicked in. And so after COVID, we said, all right, let's re-engage. We're getting kind of tired of having paperweights.
Okay.
So we re-engaged, called up DefTech. They said, oh yeah, it's the amp problem. Like, oh, the amp problem? You guys didn't know about that before, but we knew it was an issue. Anyways, DefTech was nice enough to send us new amps, no charge. Will popped in the new amps, and instantly bump went away and they sound great. So if you got the DefTech bump, you might want to call up DefTech. Hey, give me some amps.
I mean, it sounds like a cool ting, the DefTech bump. That sounds pretty cool, but it's not cool.
It's not. It's definitely not cool. Yeah, and if you have neighbors or whatever, they are also going to hate it because it's just this big, gigantic bump. Sounds like an earthquake. So, so that was the downside. So, what do you say the end result is here?
End result for movies, cinema, I would say thumbs up.
I'm going to go thumbs up with movies.
Yeah, thumbs up, and you don't need an external subwoofer, so that's an even bigger thumbs up.
Yep.
And then for music, for my taste, my ears, I would say.
You're going to go the full 6 o'clock thumbs down?
Just for the, I mean, for the price point, you could spend that much and or $500 more and go with the Q950s. I could definitely spend my money in a better way, I think.
Okay, and I'm going to go about the 2 o'clock thumb, so not the 12 o'clock thumb, but thinking that the person who isn't the enthusiast and somebody that's like, hey, I want some good tunes, you hook these things up and you're going from your old jam box portable thing or your small Sonos speaker. I mean, they're going to sound incredible compared to that. So I'll give it the 2 o'clock, knowing that for music, for my taste, I think there are better ways to go. But if you are a movie guy, I think these are definitely worth an addition and a good way to go. So anyways, that's our DefTech bipolar spiel. I'm going to go probably lie in bed. My face is on fire right now from my visit. So
rest up.
I'll let you get back to the rest of the day here. And please like and subscribe if we get 1,000 subscribers and we can get some money
we're
out of this.
1 subscriber a month, so we're crawling to that subscriber.
So we'll be good in about 80 years or so.
Yeah,
we'll finally have
at this rate. So 80 years, yeah.
Yeah. So we've got 160,000 views. Thank you very much for those. We just need some more subscribers, and then our goal is free lunch. We start, getting money from this YouTube thing. We can help you learn about some of these toys, but we can also get free lunch. So anyways.
Yeah, it was like Tom Cruise and Jerry Maguire. Help me help you.
I like that. True. Very good point.
Yeah, we're here to help. If you have any questions, post them in the comment section, and we'll try to answer them.
Great. Thank you very much.
Have a good one.
Have a good day.